Hey, Michael.
Hey Bentley, how's it going?
Feeling a little under the weather today, so I may not participate much.
No worries. No worries. Hey Mark Antoine.
Hello, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm fine, I'm fine. Working hard, but otherwise good. Yeah. So three of us. Let's see if we get closer to quorum. Hi, Bentley.
Hey,
Yeah, I
I was
think
just mentioning I'm not feeling well, so I'll
Oh,
be
okay,
kind of silent, mostly silent, but I'm here.
okay.
I figured the first Friday of the month I should check in. It's been a while for me, so I was hoping more people would show up, but we'll see.
We'll see. Well, and we haven't met a lot in a while, but we met very recently. Uh, the and thanks for that auto reference. I was aware of it, but it was still thoughtful. There's so much happening in those fields right now. Okay, let's assume it's just three of us, and maybe let's do a quick check-in. Yeah, I'm mostly working on society library stuff, but also trying to do it in a way that advances hyperknowledge. Hyperknowledge had stalled because I've been working on society library, but in another way it hasn't, because I'm very much making some of the data structures for abstract structures in the society library work. I don't think you've seen my little event sourcing toy, but I'm definitely doubling down on the value of event sourcing. That's in right now pure hyper knowledge work, not connected to society library. The idea is I have a event sourcing server which accepts schemas for both events and projections. And you can just inject handlers saying, oh, if you have this projection state and this new event, it would be the new projection state. So it's a kind of folding function for projections. And the server can accept basically a code snippet for the handler and a schema definition for the event and projection. And I have a full event sourcing solution based on that. It doesn't yet solve all the problems. There's still open issues, quite a few, but I do believe that this is where I want to move forward in terms of having like moving this towards federation and interoperability. And now what I'm trying to do is to really make sure I have the full hierarchical hypergraph operations on top of that. And that I'm doing in society library because there's just enough hierarchy to justify that work. So that's what I'm doing now.
That's awesome. So in event sourcing, does that allow you to subscribe to certain particular events? Is that like or a stream of events or a categories of events?
Yeah, event sourcing is event streaming plus events are the source of truth. So there should be nothing like knowing the stream of events should allow you to reconstruct the state. That's what event sourcing means, really. There's no other state than the events, at least for the projections. And one thing it allows in theory, and I'm not there yet, is it also makes time travel easier. Like what was the state at time t? Well, just replay the events up to time t and you'll have it. What is really nice is, in a weird way, it allows for some weird debugging where you can say, oh, I made a mistake in my folding function. Let me correct my folding function and replay the event stream. But it means you're storing the events. Like event streaming, in theory, you can lose the events as you consume them. Event streaming, but event sourcing, you have a guarantee to keep the event history so that you can replay the event stream for. New algorithms. Like one thing I see for hyperknowledge in the near future is if I have my personal knowledge base as a stream of events and I have my personal state, like this is what I believe, this is what I've asserted, blah, blah, blah. And somebody else does federation, well, they're creating a different projection from the same statements because they're creating a social truth state as opposed to a simple private truth state. Like for you, a statement is either asserted or refuted, or maybe, stated as unknown, which is fine. But what I'm saying is for a federation, you want to know how many people believe this, how many people disbelieve this, blah, blah, blah. And so it's a different projection. So the idea is each stream should have its own set of projection operators for the same event types.
And just clarifying, what's a projection in terms of event sourcing again?
It's the notion that it's this basically it's the state. I'm maintaining this state using those events. So the state of the entities that the events describe.
Yeah, interesting. And in terms of subscribing to like an event, is that something that's like generally built in within the paradigm of event sourcing, or is that just theoretically possible that you'd have to like create?
It's very much so. Yeah, and okay. my implementation has that at this point. You can subscribe to an event source and get all the events. I don't yet allow to get subsets by event type. I should, but I have subscription at least on the WebSocket.
Very cool. I just remember seeing in my Twitter thread someone that's more well-known, has lots of followers, however you want to measure it, talking about asking in public a request saying, why can't I subscribe to, or maybe he didn't use those terms, but get notified of said thing that happens in this category. And I just immediately thought of subscribing to event sourcing. So it's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. That's part of the goal. That's where I'm going, definitely. I mean, right now it's baby steps towards that, but I'm definitely the notion, like event sourcing is common. Other people have done it, and other people have done it better. Last time I mentioned it, Carl Geringer pointed me to something called the Rama architecture, and I was blown away by the quality of the Rama architecture. It doesn't Google well. Let me find the link.
Yeah, I think I got literal architects, Rama architects for housing.
Yeah. Look for redplanetlabs.com. They're the one who created it.
Cool.
So it's they have this amazing event sourcing architecture, large scale, auto scales, blah blah blah. I don't have any of that machinery. That's in my dreams, right?
Yeah.
But the notion that, like, in their system, you still have to code for schemas. Like every time you change the schema, you have to change the code. And what I'm trying to do is something schema agnostic. That is, you can just inject the schema as data. You inject the handlers as data, and the server handles that. This is my little twist on the event sourcing thing. And the other thing I'll do in the next stage is the notion of fluid concepts, saying, oh, I'm subscribing to this concept, but now it's been replaced by this other concept because an ambiguity was discovered. And so I have to be made aware of change of this identifier is being forked. And so my subscription to this identifier, I have to choose which one do I want to subscribe to now that the identifier is being forked. In a way, that's just an event. It's just saying this is being forked, but making that part of the protocol. That's my next step.
Does this tie directly into like debate map, or is it something separate, or is it eventually going to be used in there, or is there any relation at all, I guess?
I would like to use my system for debate map backend. We're not there yet. What I'm doing is I'm slowly taking Claim Miner, which is the kind of research part of what I'm doing for Society Library. It's about storing documents and decomposing them into paragraphs and taking the embeddings of those and trying to find quotes for claims using embedding similarity and automating that work chain. So that's the Claim Miner project. And
Yeah, I think
Miner,
a couple months ago, maybe you gave a demo of it. I really liked it though.
Yeah, and Claim Miner has to sync with the debate map. And unfortunately, it's not open source now. It was for a little while, but there's some proprietary SL stuff that crept into it. So we took it off, but I'm trying to break it apart so that there's an open source core. And yeah, so that's something I'll work on after the next sprint. But I'm definitely, it's high priority for me. But it will have a bridge to debate map. And right now, what I'm doing is I'm creating this node. I'm embedding not the whole event sourcing paradigm, but the flexible schema stuff into Claim Miner slowly, so that the interface with debate map is done through flexible schemas. And as a step towards merging Claim Miner and Hyperknowledge, that's definitely on my agenda. And then maybe we could even replace the debate map backend and use the front, because Henrik's is very interested in having time travel, and he likes the basic ideas of hyperknowledge. But right now, I don't, it's not finished enough to have all the characteristics. And I don't know if there'll be a performance penalty to all the abstractions I'm doing, but I'm trying not to. I'm making it as performant as I know how to, despite the abstraction.
So it sounds like event sourcing is your focus right now currently.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was just curious if it's relevant for this or for CDL at all. I'm just curious of what other projects are going on at Society Library that are allowed to be talked about in public.
Yes. Well, right now, you probably saw, did you see Jamie's demo on the 12th of October?
I don't think so, no. I'll have to bookmark that, go back and look at it.
She demonstrated basically the work. She's got a very good AI researcher doing claim extraction, actually 2 of them. And so they did this great demo of, one second, let me try to find it. Okay, here's the link. So at the basically 1 hour mark, give or take, of that YouTube, Jamie demonstrated basically, we've got all these AI documents and we did claim extraction, and we did claim extraction at scale. And in a few hours, we got whatever, many thousand claims, tens of thousands of claims. So the prompts are those of Shaw, the person she's working with. And that's it. The prompts are not public, but the fact that she's working on that is public. That's the demo. And the fact that we got so many of them in a few hours, that's because I made it parallel in Claim Miner. I made the request parallel in Claim Miner.
That's incredible. So you said she's got AI researchers working on this, but then is it using Claim Miner as the backend, or is it using?
We're working very loosely together, but the intent is that more and more it will use Claim Miner as the backend. One part of it, the claim extraction machinery, got into the Claim Miner source, and which is why it got pulled off temporarily.
Interesting. So it sounds like this isn't likely going to be open source, like that section of it is Society Library.
Not for a while, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Still, I love to see progress in this domain. So
what I would want is, I'll make it so adding claim extractor as a module, and you can create your own claim extraction module and plug it into claim miner, because that should be a scenario. And Jack will do his claim extraction module using NLP. He's working still on NLP extraction, triple extraction with NLP. So that should all be in the same. So that's my aim in the midterm.
Very cool. Give me 1 sec here.
Sure.
What else did I miss in the last month or so?
Metil deposited a document with a lot of interesting design work worth definitely looking into. It's in the docs somewhere. What else happened? Not that much else. There was, well, Bentley's UX has been progressing. But no, this group has been very quiet. And that's about it.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that. I wonder
you?
if everyone's just busy. Me personally, I've been working on discourse graph with a specific client. So not specifically on the discourse graph functionality exactly. Sometimes it's just adjacent, sometimes specific work with their graph. So I get an understanding of at least user needs of what they're doing within a discourse graph. So that's, I think, generally helpful in understanding what to kind of produce going forward. Some canvas work on the discourse graph using TL draw. But again, mostly just we need some padding here or some spacing here, or there's been some nice improvements on importing claims or evidence or like any node basically into the discourse graph. So we have a query builder, like that's actually what it's all bundled with. So you can query basically anything you want in Roam Research based on has a parent node that's this, has a child node, has a descendant node, references this, like pretty much any type of
so you're building a kind of
distinct
query language for Roam?
It's already built. So the discourse graph is built on top of it as a basically an
Nice.
extension. Yeah. And it's going to
Nice.
hopefully be just seamlessly integrated. So you don't even really know where discourse graph starts and the query builder ends. It's just going to be, you could import a specific type of schema that you want to recognize as distinct nodes. So
very cool.
yeah.
Is it wedded to Roam? Could it work on Logsec or Obsidian or?
Currently it's wedded to Roam, this one, but there was people working on a Logsec like port over, but it every so often we get, oh yeah, it's going to be out in 3 weeks, and then it kind of stalls, and then oh yeah, it's going to be out, and then it stalls. So I don't know where the development is at, but someone has been working on it. So.
Is your work public?
Yep. Yeah, it's just open source at Roam.js. So github.com/Roam.js or Roam.js/GitHub. There's a bunch of plugins in that suite, and Query Builder is the specific one. I can grab the link.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Roam.js Query Builder. I'll definitely have a
Yeah.
look. I'm really curious about the schema language here, because in a way, isn't page as title with text. Okay. Cool.
So the discourse graph mostly has its own documentation. I think there's probably a link to it if you find discourse graph there in GitHub. Yeah, so it's on a whole nother website that kind of goes more in detail of the specific discourse graphs. In terms of this, go ahead.
Okay. So that's not the discourse graph. That's a generic query builder. Got it.
It is and isn't. Like discourse graph is actually built into it. So
okay.
Oh, I got this. That video was playing in the background and just started speaking
to
me.
Yeah. No, I see it now. There's a discourse graph section.
Yeah, it was a separate plugin. Now it's merged, and so the documentation is still in 2 separate places.
Got it. Very interesting. Very interesting. No, I will look into this. Thanks.
Yeah. The
Okay,
scheme
cool.
is just like currently you define it yourself and you describe with a query builder query how to identify a specific node. So for example, it initially started with just questions, claims, sources, and evidence, and they were described by the titles. So you would put EVD in the title of an evidence, and that would describe an evidence node. But now it's open to be able to describe a node in any way you want, like has this attribute, has this parent, whatever. So
Sounds great. Cool. Okay. Do we have another topic? No, I'm too busy in production and code and design to have much to say, I guess.
yeah, I don't have anything else to suggest, I don't think. Other than just seeing evidence of the need for the CDL everywhere and every day. So,
Oh God, yes, absolutely.
but that's a never-ending thing. So,
Yeah. Okay, I think maybe we don't need to stretch this. It's who we are. It's what we had to say, and we'll do this again. Unless Bentley, I understand you're sick, but anything to add? Or I say let's close
No,
this
I
early.
think, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
okay, well, maybe we'll see you in another meeting or next month.
Ciao,
Yeah.
ciao.